I'm called Danielle. At 32, Ms. Ibling's future wife violently attacked me within my personal kitchen while my siblings simply remained there observing. Prior to explaining how I utilized my authorization to refuse them the loan for their ideal home and revealed them in legal proceedings, tell me which location you're viewing from within the responses. The initial thing I recall is the chill. The ceramic of my kitchen surface was surprisingly chill against my face. A point metallic flavor filled my mouth crimson. A soft, pulsing pain spread from my chest, making every breath aughty, measured torment. I opened my eyes, attempting to remove the fog from my sight, and noticed him. My sibling Michael. Who isn't gazing at me. He was gazing beyond me toward the entrance door, his expression a covering of irritation, as though my collapsed form on the surface was a slight disruption, a disorder he didn't wish to handle. He moved over my limbs, cautious not to allow his costly leather footwear contact my pants, and excited me residence. He didn't speak a sound, not one. My device, which had fallen to the surface during the struggle, vibrated on the ceramics next to my head. The display illuminated IT was a message from Michael containing words that destroyed what remained of my heart into countless small fragments. Keep distance from us. Drops of betrayal filled my vision, a suffering far more intense than the crack in my mouth. I remained there for a period, the chill of the surface penetrating into my skeleton, the quiet of the residence pressing in on me. Then something changed. Within me. The pain didn't disappear, but it hardened into something solid and transparent. Determination my digits shaking just a period earlier became stable. I extended for the device, my action slow and intentional that I responded with a single term. A term that seemed like it was created in frost. Finished. I pressed send. A frightening quiet filled the residence. What did finished signify for them? It was a rejection, a verification that their unwelcome sister would vanish. For me, it was a vow. A vow that the Danielle they recognized, the one who constantly pardoned, who constantly gathered the fragments, was gone permanently. To comprehend why this betrayal wounded so deeply, you must comprehend my household. It was constantly the Michael performance. I was the reliable one, the one with the steady profession and the greater income. But those were merely details, background sound. Michael was the narrative. I recall one holiday dinner several years past he declared he'd received a small increase his beginning position. My mother glowed, lifting her cup as though he just earned a Nobel Award. To my child, constructing his kingdom, she announced to the space. The entire household clapped. Later that night, I quietly noted I just secured the largest contract of my profession. A huge advancement that arrived with a substantial wage increase and equity benefits. My mother just touched my palm, her vision already searching the space for Michael. That's pleasant, sweetheart, she said absent-mindedly, but don't exhaust yourself too much. You didn't wish to frighten potential spouses. A woman's genuine wealth is her household. Michael just remained there absorbing the acclaim and didn't say anything. He never did. It was the identical narrative after our grandfather's burial. The small inheritance he left was quietly directed to assist Michael with a payment on a flashy new vehicle he didn't require. While he was informed I was performing well enough on my own, I wasn't a daughter to be invested in. I was the household safety system, our source to be used when required. I recall another occasion when we were adolescents. Michael had taken our father's antiquated piece without requesting and misplaced it at Agathuring. When my father discovered, Michael immediately directed the blame at me, and I foolishly accepted the responsibility, laboring a terrible part-time position for months to compensate for a replacement just to maintain the harmony. That was my position. The mediator, the issue resolver, the unseen support maintaining everything up. And then arrived Sarah. When Michael initially brought her home, she was silent, a bit confused, all large vision, and a sorrowful narrative about her challenging history. I sympathized with her. I noticed a similar soul, another woman attempting to discover her position in the world. When she was struggling to discover a position and a location to reside, I was the one who assisted. I didn't just co-sign her initial residence lease. I remained with her for hours, assisting her rewrite her application. I even advanced her the safety payment and initial month's payment, no inquiries requested, informing her to compensate me back whenever she could. She wept and called me the sister she never possessed. I protected her Tommy companions when they whispered she appeared opportunistic, a bit too skilled at performing the victim. She just requires a opportunity. I'd insisted that she's household now. I wished to believe I wished for once for my sibling to have selected someone who would contribute to our household, not just take from it. Resting on that kitchen's surface, the memory of my own kindness seemed like poison in my throat. I lifted myself up. Each action a fresh surge of suffering. My image in the dark display of the appliance was a stranger's expression, enlarged and injured. I contacted the only individual I knew would believe me without inquiry. My best companion since elementary school, Jessica, I whispered, my voice breaking. Danny, what's incorrect? You sound terrible. The narrative spilled out between cries. The dispute which had begun over something so foolish. Something about the wedding arrangements, that Sarah's sudden outbreak of anger. Her vision turning dark with a fury I'd never observed. The push that sent me stumbling back against the surface. The strike that split my mouth. And worst of all, Michael's freezing indifference as he just remained by the appliance drinking a beverage. Jessica didn't hesitate. There was no, are you certain? Or perhaps you misunderstood. There was only a cold, hard fury in her voice that reflected my own. I'm coming. Don't move. Don't contact anything, and you are contacting the authorities. Danielle, you understand me? We are not allowing this pass, and not this occasion. This isn't a household disagreement, this is an offense. Her immediate unconditional support was the only thing maintaining me together. She was correct. This wasn't just a conflict, that it was an attack. And Michael's message wasn't just a request for distance. It was an abandonment of his position as my sibling. They had created a boundary in the sand. No, it was my turn to create mine. The following morning, every muscle in my form protested in resistance. A large, ugly mark was developing across my chest, a painful purple and dark galaxy. My mouth was enlarged to twice its normal dimension, but my mind was strangely calm, frighteningly clear. I sat down at my table, ignoring the suffering, and opened my computer. I navigated to my bank's secure entrance, and there it was in sharp dark and white. The document for the $750,000 loan on their ideal house. The one with the white pillars and the surrounding porch. The one they couldn't obtain without me. My excellent credit rating, my spotless financial record, and my substantial income were the only reasons the bank had approved such a massive loan for a couple with an irregular employment record and mountains of credit card debt. I was the guarantor, and my name was the foundation their entire vision was constructed on. Canceling the guarantee wasn't a simple click. It was a deliberate multi-step procedure designed to prevent exactly this kind of emotional choice. A pop-up window appeared. Are you certain you wish to proceed? This action may have significant legal and financial consequences. I clicked yes. I had to go through with factor verification, a code sent to my device. I had to answer security inquiries about my first pet and my mother's family name, a bitter irony that wasn't lost on me. And finally, he had to electronically sign a legal document that explicitly warned me that withdrawing my guarantee would almost certainly result in the immediate cancellation of the loan agreement. I read every term. Then, with a stable hand that didn't reveal the chaos in my heart, I signed my name. A small digital signature that exploded a bomb in the center of their perfect curated existence. I spent the remainder of the day in a haze methodically recording everything. I went to an urgent care facility and got a full medical report detailing my injuries. The physician was kind but professional, noting the cut on the inner mouth and significant bruises to the chest area, consistent with blunt force trauma. I took high-resolution images of my injured expression and chest from every angle. The suffering was a constant, pulsing reminder of what they had done, fueling my cold determination. The contact came the following afternoon. It was Michael. His voice was a frantic, high-pitched scream I'd never heard before. The sound of a spoiled child having his favorite toy removed. Danielle, what did you do? The bank just contacted. The loan was refused, they said the guarantor withdrew. What did you do? I let the quiet hang in the air for a moment, enjoying Hispanic. Then I spoke, my voice empty of any emotion. I did what you requested, Michael. I'm keeping distance from you. That includes my name, my credit, and my finances. I disconnected before he could respond. That evening, my residence door trembled with the force of their pounding. It wasn't a knock. It was an assault. It looped through the viewer. It was them, their expressions twisted in anger and disbelief. They looked like trapped creatures, wild and dangerous. Danielle, open this door. Sarah screamed, her voice sharp enough to break glass. You are destroying everything in our house, our future, our wedding. Danny, please. Michael pleaded, his voice breaking, trying a different approach. We can discuss this. Don't do this to us. Consider Mom and Dad. Consider everything we've been through. I just remained there watching them through the small circle of glass. Their desperation gave me no satisfaction, only a profound sense of emptiness. They weren't sorry for what they did, they were sorry they got discovered. They were sorry there were results. I calmly blocked their numbers on my device, disabled my doorbell, and returned my computer. I opened a new folder and named it Evidence for Legal Proceedings. The first files I saved were the images of my injuries. The following few days were a special kind of torment. The physical suffering began to diminish, but the emotional assault escalated. It began, as it always did, with my mother. She contacted, her voice dripping with disappointment, not for what had occurred to me, but for what I had done. Michael informed me everything. She began, no introduction, no how are you feeling, how could you be so selfish, Danielle, after everything we've done for you, you're destroying your sibling's happiness over a little disagreement. A little disagreement. I felt the air leave my lungs. Mom, she attacked me. She struck me in the expression. Michael remained there and observed. Oh, don't be so dramatic, she mocked, her voice sharp. Sarah is under a lot of pressure with the wedding and the new house. You probably provoked her, you know how you can be with your opinions and your profession. You make people uncomfortable, how I can be. The terms hit me like a physical blow. I was the issue. I had always been the issue. I was too independent, too successful, too much. I wasn't the sweet, compliant daughter she desired. I have to go, Mom, I said, my voice flat. I disconnected the device and the barrier broke. I slid down the wall in me hallway and cried. Ugly, gut-wrenching cries for the household I wished I had. For the mother who would never protect me, for the little girl inside me who still foolishly craved her approval. Jessica found me like that an hour later, a crumpled heap on the surface. She just sat with me holding my hand until the tears stopped. The following day, a contact came from my Aunt Carol. Danielle, dear, she started, her voice syrupy with false concern. Your mother informed me what happened. I'm so disappointed in you. Your sibling is heartbroken. He might lose the house. You need to consider the household. That was the moment I understood, this wasn't just Michael and Sarah. It was an entire system, a household dynamic built on the foundation of my silence and my sacrifice, and I was done being the foundation. Just as I was starting to pull myself together, the final blow arrived. A certified letter. My hands shook as I opened it. It was a temporary restraining order filed by Sarah against me. The document was a work of fiction, a masterpiece of gaslighting. It painted me as an unhinged, jealous sister-in-law-to-be who had been harassing her for months, who was obsessed with my sibling, and who had violently confronted her. They were trying to flip the script to legally brand me as the aggressor. For a moment, I felt a wave of pure despair. How could I fight this? It was their term, the term of the perfect, happy couple, against mine. But then I looked at the folder on my computer desktop. Evidence for Legal Proceedings, and a cold hard smile touched my mouth. Thank you, I thought you just gave me a stage and I have the whole script. I immediately picked up the device and contacted a lawyer Jessica had recommended, a shark of a woman who specialized in domestic disputes. The day of the legal proceeding hearing, the air in the small household courtroom was thick with tension. I sat with Jessica on one side, my lawyer, Ms. Davies, beside me. Across the aisle sat Sarah, Michael, and my mother, a united front of victimhood. Sarah was dabbing at her dry vision with a tissue. My mother shot me a look of pure venom. Michael refused to look at me at all. Sarah's lawyer went first, painting a masterful picture of me as a jealous, unstable woman obsessed with sabotaging her siblings' happiness. He spoke of my history of emotional outbursts and my unhealthy attachment to Michael. He twisted my success into a weapon, suggesting my high-pressure position made me erratic and aggressive. It was sickeningly effective. Then Michael took the stand. He looked small and pathetic. He spoke in a soft, trembling voice about how I'd always been difficult and prone to anger. He claimed I'd stormed into their lives, made unreasonable demands about the wedding, and that he'd had to protect his poor, fragile fiancée from my aggression. He was a phenomenal actor. I'll give him that. He even shed a tear, talking about how all he wanted was for his two favorite girls to get along. Then it was my turn. Ms. Davies stood up. Your Honor, she said calmly, my client will not be testifying about her feelings or her opinions. She will not engage in the household drama you have just heard. She will be presenting facts one by one. We laid them out. First, the high-resolution photographs of my expression, the split mouth, the bruising around my vision. Ms. Davies placed them on the projector. A collective gasp went through the small gallery. The judge studied them intently, her expression hardening. Next, the official medical report from the urgent care facility, which Miss Davies read aloud. Her voice clear, studied, documenting injuries consistent with blunt force trauma. The room grew quiet, and then the final piece. Your Honor, my lawyer said, her voice ringing with authority, we would like to present one final piece of evidence. It is security footage from the hallway outside Mike Leon's residence, timestamped on the night of the alleged incident. A screen was turned towards the judge. I could see the reflection in her glasses. The video was silent, but it was brutally, unequivocally clear. It showed Mia pinning my door. It showed Sarah shouting, her expression contorted with rage. It showed her lunging at me, shoving me back into the residence with such force that I stumbled out of the camera's view. And then it showed Michael standing in the hallway for a moment, looking annoyed, before he turned his back and walked away. The silence in the courtroom was absolute. I watched their expressions. Sarah's jaw went slack, the color draining from her expression as if she'd seen a ghost. She looked like a deflating balloon. Michael looked like he'd been punched in the stomach, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. And my mother put a hand to her mouth, her vision wide with horror. But it wasn't horror for me. It was the horror of seeing their perfect narrative, their carefully constructed lie, crumble into dust on a courtroom monitor for every Anito see. The judge's gavel came down with a crack that made everyone jump. Petition for a restraining order is denied, she said, her voice like ice. She looked directly at Sarah, her vision blazing. And I would advise you, ma'am, that filing a false police report and perjury are serious crimes. As is assault. You are lucky, Ms. Evans is not pressing charges today. This legal proceeding is adjourned. It was over. The truth had won. As we filed out of the courtroom, Jessica hugged me tight. You did it, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. You actually did it. My mother tried to approach me, her expression a mess of confusion and shame. Danielle, I didn't know, she said. I just gave her a cold, empty look and walked right past her with Jessica, leaving her standing there stammering, her terms dissolving in the air. In the hallway, Michael blocked my path. His expression was pale, his vision pleading. Danny, he started, his voice a hoarse whisper. I'm so sorry, Sarah, she gets crazy sometimes. I didn't know what to do. I cut him off. I looped him dead in the vision. And for the first time, I didn't see my big sibling. I saw a weak, hollow man, a coward hiding behind a woman's fists. You stood in the kitchen, I said, my voice flat and steady, each term a carefully placed stone. You stepped over my form. You are not my sibling. You are her shield. From now on, we are strangers. I turned and walked away without looking back, leaving him standing alone in the sterile courthouse hallway. That was the last time I ever spoke to him. The year that followed was one of rebuilding. It wasn't easy. There were nightmares, there were days when the loneliness felt like a physical weight. But for every bad day, there was a good one. I threw myself into my work, not as an escape, but as a celebration of my own competence. I led my team to our most successful quarter ever and earned a major promotion, becoming one of the youngest vice presidents in my company's history. I also started taking a pottery class on Tuesday nights, something I'd always wanted to do, but my household had dismissed as a messy waste of time. There was something profoundly healing about taking a formless, wet lump of clay and shaping it with my own two hands into something new, something beautiful, something useful. I was reshaping my own existence, one spin of the wheel at a time. My chosen household rallied around me. Jessica was my rock my companions, the ones who had seen Sarah for what she was all along, surrounded with love and laughter. One night, I hosted a dinner party in my residence. The space was filled with the sounds of me companions talking, laughing, enjoying the food I'd cooked. It was warm and bright and real. It was everything my household dinners were not. This was household. The one I had built. The one he had earned. A few months ago, a letter arrived. I recognized Michael's handwriting. My hand didn't even tremble. I held it for a long time, feeling nothing. No anger, no curiosity, just a quiet stillness. Out of a detached sense of finality, I opened it. It was exactly what I expected, a rambling, self-pitying apology. He and Sarah had broken up. A messy divorce in the making. He was in counseling. He was working on himself. He was sorry. He wanted his sister back. I thought about all the years I had craved his approval, his protection. Andy realized I didn't need it anymore. My peace was my own. My strength was meown. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a bridge you build stone by stone. And I had no interest in building a bridge back to a place that had only ever caused me suffering. I tore the letter in half, then in quarters, and dropped the pieces into the recycling bin. Now, a year later, I'm standing on the balcony of my residence. The sun is warm on my expression. I'm watering a small, stubborn cactus I bought after the legal case. When I bought it, it was just a spiky green lump. This morning, I noticed something new. A small, brilliant pink flower had bloomed at its very top. I used to think strength was about not having scars. Now I know it's about what you grow from them. I survived, not just the physical assault, but the deeper wound of household betrayal. And I learned that the most important home you can ever have is the one you build inside yourself. I took a deep breath of the fresh morning air. For the first time in a very long time, I felt completely and utterly free. The door behind me was open, ready for whatever came next. Thanks so much for listening to my narrative. It wasn't easy to share. But I hope it helps someone out there who feels trapped or unseen. My inquiry for you is, have you ever had to make the difficult choice to cut a toxic household member out of your existence? Let me know your narrative in the responses below. And if my narrative resonated with you, please give this video a like and subscribe for more. It really helps the channel out.